Over the years, I have seen these stories where police departments are making the claim that they are struggling to find recruits that are of other races. And I don't believe they're trying that hard, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think they've ever historically tried hard. But let's be real. From the beginning, when the police was formed, starting with the plantation police level, it's always been predominantly white male. And as you can see today, it's still that way. And personally, I don't think we see more diversity because they really don't want it. If it's more diverse, they feel like they've lost control. These people have, like I said, that plantation mentality. All of them on the top, everybody else at the bottom. And that's pretty much how they run all of America. So, how hard have they really tried to get these recruits? I don't believe they've tried very hard at all. So, this came out on karanews.org, why Fort Worth and other big city struggle with police diversity. And plus, a lot of people are turned off by the police. The publicity that goes out about cops around America is generally bad. And it's to the point where people really don't want nothing to do with it at all. They'll just prefer to look into other professions. But as you can see on this chart, it shows you Fort Worth PD 2019. You could see where they are the majority, and followed by Latinos, Blacks, and Asians. Like a lot of cities, Fort Worth has been working to recruit and hire more diverse police force. I don't think you've been trying that hard. Researchers have found strong support nationwide for the idea that a police department should look like the city it serves. We've been saying that for years, and I have yet to see it in America. You know, all we see is a bunch of white cops over policing the Black neighborhood. And I don't believe the police department should look different from the people you're patrolling. But this is the way it was done from the beginning, and this is the way it's done today. You know, if these folks really wanted these changes to happen, you would have saw it by now. It don't take 400 years to change things, y'all. It don't. So, we know that let me just start here. Researchers have found strong support nationwide for the idea that a police department should look like the city it serves, but most departments don't. They're a lot more male and a lot whiter. And I agree with that. So, after a string of controversial policing incidents in recent years involving people of color, whatever, in Fort Worth and elsewhere, damaged trusting police. Building a more diverse police force has been seen as a way to restore trust and strengthen ties between officers and the residents they're sworn to protect, but they don't protect. We're not getting no protection in the Black community. Come on. This is ridiculous, even trying to talk about that. We don't get protection. They're in the community to terrorize, harass, and even kill us. So, but protection, that's yet to be seen. About 40% of Fort Worth residents are white. but 65% of Fort Worth police officers are white. In 2010, nearly 70% of the department was white. Why? When only 40% of the residents are white. So how do you justify having a 70% police department? And it's the same way in teaching, ladies and gentlemen. It's the same way. You have this disproportionate white female teachers that don't match the communities that they work in. But like I said, if these folks really wanted these changes, you would have seen it by now. Year after year, we're always talking about the same thing and see little to no action, just talking about it. They were talking about this same stuff when I was a child, ladies and gentlemen. They don't want this stuff to change. But see, it's going to get, because there's a population shift going on in America, is going to have to change whether they like it or not. It's going to have to change. An analysis of the last 10 years of Fort Worth Police Department staffing data shows the department growing more Latino as it becomes less white. Latino representation on the force has grown from 16% to 21%. In 2017, 35% of Fort Worth residents were Latino. Well, that makes sense. If you got a growing population of Latinos, you should have more Latino cops, just like Black cops. If you got a growing population or a strong population of Black residents, then you should have that type of representation on your police force. In that same time period, the police force has seen a small decrease in the number of officers who are Black. From about 12% to 10%, Black residents represent about 19% of the city's population. So, but in that case, to be honest with you, the way Black people are treated in this country by the police departments, I don't blame any Black person for not wanting to be a cop. You don't make it enticing to us at all. In fact, you make it look the complete opposite. All right, so race of Fort Worth PD staff, 2010 to 2019. So overwhelmingly white, and then followed by Latino, Black, Asian, American, Indian, 2 or more, biracial, and Pacific Islander. We're trying to make changes. Well, y'all are very slow in making changes. Like I said, I remember these conversations when I was a child, y'all. I have to concede at this point in time, you just like it this way. And you want to feel like you're in control of everybody that don't look like you. How diverse are Fort Worth's high-ranking police officers? As you can see in the blue is white. The light blue, Latino. And you can see the Black right here look like sort of like a teal color. Asian, the green, and American Indian is the yellow. All right, y'all. There is some audio on here I want to play. Here we go.
At a vigil one day after Tatiana Jefferson was killed by a white police officer, community advocates raged. They said Fort Worth Black residents don't feel safe with the city's predominantly white police department. Deborah Peoples leads the Tarrant County Democratic Party.
When officers come in our communities, they come in combat mode. We don't have a chance. Yes. This is not a training issue with the Fort Worth Police Department. This is a cultural issue.
Since the October shooting, there have been calls to hire more officers of color. The city is only 40% white, but nearly two-thirds of Fort Worth police officers are white. Corey Sessions sat on the city's task force on race and culture, which looked at the issue.
If you don't have a police force that is representative or looks like your city, you run into issues, culture issues, biases.
Sessions says he often sees bias and stereotypes and a general lack of understanding overshadow police interactions.
We all have prejudice. We all have these preconceived ideas. But as an officer, and these are life and death situations that can turn on an instant, you got to be careful.
Over the last decade, the police force has grown more diverse, from nearly 70% white in 2010 to 65% now. But Blacks, Latinos, and Asians are still significantly underrepresented, and less than 13% of Fort Worth police are women. Nelson Lim says numbers like these are unsurprising.
It is extremely common. I mean, unfortunately, it is extremely common across the whole country.
Lim studies recruitment at the RAND Corporation and has worked with police departments to increase officer diversity.
It's not necessarily that it's all about racism, discrimination, but it's more subtle, it's more nuanced.
There are two common barriers, Lim says. The first, propensity. Who actually wants to become a police officer? Many young people of color are reluctant to pursue a policing career, he says, and may hold police officers in less esteem.
So if the minority youth and minority populations has lower propensity to serve as a police officer, then you already start behind.
For those who do apply, Lim says the vetting process can disproportionately sideline people of color and women. Entry tests may be written in a way that offers white people an advantage. More women fail physical tests than men. And background checks can disadvantage people who grow up in communities that are more heavily policed. Assistant City Manager Jay Chapa oversees the 1,600-member Fort Worth Police Department.
We're trying to make changes to improve the situation when it comes to having the police department reflect the community.
The city's reviewing its vetting process to eliminate bias. On top of that, it's targeting police recruitment efforts to reach more people of color. There's a volunteer boot camp to help women train for the physical test. And the city's reinstating a paid police cadet program to introduce high school and community college students to law enforcement careers. But Chapa says a strong economy means some well-qualified candidates aren't applying to be cops because there's better pay and easier work outside of policing. And Fort Worth's not alone in focusing on diversity.
Minority and women candidates are at a premium, and every city's after them. So there's competition when it comes to that.
Still, improving officer diversity isn't a panacea. It can help build trust, research shows, but policing experts say cities should also focus on the culture within police departments and build stronger relationships with marginalized communities. I'm Christopher Connolly in Fort Worth.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my opinion is they have been very satisfied with the way these police departments look around the country. And then, I did 2 stories of police officers encouraging other cops to act white supremacist and neo-Nazi on the job. Not to mention, you had a police chief in New York that was encouraging officers to just grab Black and Latinos and leave Asians and whites alone at the transit stations. And, if you're not willing to clean up the corruption, I just don't understand how hiring new cops is going to change the police culture. It won't. Like I said, there is no remedy or reform you can do at this point. If you want things to change, you have to do a clean sweep. Get rid of all these people that you got in place now and bring in all new fresh faces. Then then they may have a chance of turning this whole thing around, which I don't think they want to do. They're going to hang on for dear life until it's impossible for them to dominate all of these positions because, we see the low birth rate is already showing up among the young, where you got larger populations of Black and Latino and a smaller population of white. Then you will see a shift. But all of this pussyfooting around with, oh, well, we are trying to make it more diverse. Like I said, they were saying all this stuff when I was a kid. How long does it take to make a police department more diverse? It can't be that damn hard. Get out of here. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.